My name is Elena. I am 31 years old. I live in Canada. I moved here 10 years ago with my parents. Now I am a permanent resident, and this country feels like home to me. I work in a small marketing company in the city. My life is stable. I have my own apartment. I pay my bills. I cook my own food. I am independent. Many people say I am strong. But sometimes at night, when I sit alone in my living room, I feel something missing. I have friends. I have a job. I have security. But I do not have love. I always believed in real love. I believed that one day I would meet a man who would choose me, not because he needed something, but because he truly wanted me. I wanted a partner, someone to build a life with, someone who would look at me and see a future. I did not know that when I finally met him, he would see something else instead. I met Daniel at a small cafe near my office. It was a rainy afternoon. I was waiting in line when he dropped his wallet on the floor. I picked it up and gave it back to him. He smiled at me. "Thank you," he said. His voice was warm and calm. We started talking while waiting for our coffee. He told me he had moved to Canada only 8 months ago. He said everything was new to him. The weather, the culture, the system. He asked about my life here. When I told him I had lived here for 10 years, his eyes became bright. "You must know everything about this country," he said with a small laugh. We exchanged numbers before leaving the cafe. Daniel started calling me every evening. He asked about my day. He listened carefully. He told me he admired how independent I was. "I want to build a future here," he said once. "A real life, stability, a home." The way he said it made me feel important, like I was part of that dream. For the first time in a long time, I felt seen. I felt chosen. Everything moved quickly after that. Daniel wanted to see me almost every day. He brought flowers to my apartment. He cooked dinner for me. He held my hand when we walked outside. He told me he had never met a woman like me before. "You are strong," he said. "You know how to survive. I need someone like that in my life." The word need sounded romantic at that time. After only 3 months, he began talking about marriage. "At my age," he said, "I don't want to waste time. I want something serious. I want stability. I want a wife." His words made my heart beat fast. No one had ever spoken to me so seriously before. He said he wanted a simple life, a home, children one day. Sometimes during our conversations, he mentioned how complicated his visa situation was. "It's hard for newcomers," he would say. "The paperwork is stressful. Without stability, you can lose everything." I felt sorry for him. I wanted to support him. I told myself he was just being honest about his struggles. I did not see it as a warning. I saw it as trust. And I believed love was growing between us. 6 months after we met, Daniel proposed to me. He took me to the same cafe where we first talked. It was winter this time. Snow covered the streets. Everything looked white and peaceful. He held my hands across the table. "Elena," he said softly, "you changed my life. Before you, I felt lost here. Now I feel like I belong. I want forever with you." Then he took out a small ring box. My heart began to race. "I don't want to wait," he continued. "Life is uncertain. My situation here is complicated. I need stability. But more than that, I need you." There was that word again. Need. For one second, something inside me felt unsure. Why did he mention his situation now? But then he looked into my eyes and said, "Marry me." I said yes. I told myself that love sometimes moves fast. I told myself real men are honest about their struggles. I ignored the small voice in my head, and I chose happiness. Our wedding was small, just a few friends and my parents. At first, everything felt normal. Daniel was kind. He kissed my forehead before work. He held my hand in public. But slowly, something changed. 2 weeks after the wedding, he began talking constantly about paperwork. "We should start the sponsorship process immediately," he said. "There's no time to lose." He brought forms home every evening. He asked me to sign documents quickly. When I tried to read them carefully, he became impatient. "It's just standard procedure," he said. "Why are you worried? Don't you trust me?" Of course I trusted him. He was my husband, but I noticed something else. He stopped planning date nights. He stopped asking about my day. When I talked about work, he seemed distracted. Instead, he spent hours researching immigration policies online. One night, I asked gently, "Daniel, are you happy?" He looked surprised. "Of course I am," he said. "But we must focus on the future. The future, not us." Something felt different. But I told myself every marriage changes after the wedding. I told myself I was overthinking. One evening, I came home earlier than usual. The apartment was quiet, but I heard Daniel talking in the bedroom. His voice sounded serious. I did not mean to listen. But then I heard my name. "Yes, once I get my permanent status, everything will be easier," he said. My heart stopped. He continued, "It's almost done. She trusts me completely. I just need her to finish the last documents." I felt cold. Who was he talking to? I stood outside the door, frozen. My hands were shaking. "I know," he said softly into the phone. "I can't risk anything now. After I get my papers, I'll decide what to do." After I get my papers. Decide what to do. I stepped back quickly and went to the kitchen before he could see me. When he came out, he smiled at me like nothing had happened. "How was your day?" he asked. I looked at him carefully. The man I loved. The man I married. And for the first time I felt afraid. Was I his wife? Or was I just his solution? After that phone call, I could not sleep. Daniel lay beside me peacefully, but my mind would not rest. The next morning, he left early for work. He forgot his laptop at home. It was still open on the dining table. I stood there for a long time. I did not want to check it, but I needed the truth. When I opened his messages, my hands began to shake. There was a conversation with a friend named Kareem. One message made my heart stop. "Bro, once I get permanent status, I'll finally be free. I just need to stay patient. Marriage was the fastest way." Another message followed. "She's a good person. I didn't expect that. But this was my only option." My vision became blurry. Marriage was the fastest way. Not love, not destiny, not forever. A plan. I scrolled further. Karim had written, "And after?" Daniel replied, "We'll see. Papers first, then decisions. Then decisions." I closed the laptop slowly. Every romantic word he ever said now sounded fake in my head. I was not his partner. I was his strategy. And in that moment, my heart did not just break. It shattered. That evening, I waited for him in the living room. When Daniel walked in, he smiled. "You're home early." I looked at him quietly. "We need to talk," I said. His smile disappeared. I opened his laptop and showed him the messages. For a few seconds, he said nothing. Then he shook his head. "You're misunderstanding." "Am I?" I asked calmly, though my hands were shaking. "It's not like that," he continued. "Yes, I was stressed about my visa before we met. But things changed." "Changed?" I repeated. He looked at me carefully. "At first, I needed stability," he admitted. "But I didn't expect to care about you. I learned to love you later. Learned to love me later. Like I was a habit. Like I was an adjustment." "So you married me for papers?" I said slowly. "No," he answered quickly. "I married you because you were the right person at the right time." The right time, not the right woman. I realized something painful. He was not sorry for using me. He was sorry that I found out. After that conversation, I locked myself in the bedroom. I sat on the floor and cried quietly. Every memory played in my mind. The cafe, the flowers, the proposal, the promises. Was any of it real? Did he ever look at me with love? Or was he calculating everything from the beginning? I felt foolish. How did I not see it? He said he needed stability. He said life was uncertain. He said marriage would solve everything. I thought he meant emotionally. He meant legally. The worst part was not the lie. It was the feeling of being used. Used like a document, like a signature, like a step in someone else's plan. I had opened my heart. He had opened a pathway. That night, I looked at myself in the mirror and asked, "How could you be so blind?" But deep inside, another voice answered, "You were not blind. You were in love. And sometimes, love makes us ignore what we do not want to see." The next morning, I did not go to work. Instead, I searched online. I typed slowly, "Marriage immigration fraud consequences." My heart began to beat faster as I read. If someone sponsors a spouse dishonestly, they can face serious problems. Fines, legal investigation, even criminal charges. My hands became cold. I had signed documents. I had promised the government that our marriage was real, but if Daniel's intentions were false, I could be part of something illegal. Suddenly, my sadness turned into fear. This was not only about heartbreak anymore. This was about my future, my record, my life in this country. I thought about my parents. They worked so hard to build stability here. Was I risking everything because I trusted the wrong man? Daniel came into the living room while I was reading. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Research," I replied calmly. He looked uncomfortable. "There's nothing to worry about," he said quickly. But now, I knew something. If there was truly nothing to worry about, he would not look afraid. For the first time since our wedding, I stopped feeling weak. And I started thinking clearly. That afternoon, I called my friend Sophia. She listened quietly as I told her everything. When I finished, she said one sentence that changed my thinking. "Elena, you are not trapped." She gave me the number of an immigration lawyer. 2 days later, I sat in a small office, explaining my situation carefully. The lawyer looked serious but calm. "If you believe your husband married you mainly for immigration benefits," she said, "you have the right to stop the sponsorship process." "Will I get in trouble?" I asked softly. "No," she replied. "You are the victim here, but you must act wisely and quickly." Victim. I had never seen myself that way. I left the office feeling different. Still hurt, still disappointed, but no longer powerless. For weeks, I had been crying and blaming myself. Now I understood something important. I did not break the marriage. He broke it the moment he treated it like a contract instead of a commitment. And I did not have to protect someone who was willing to use me. That evening, I told Daniel I wanted to delay the sponsorship paperwork. His reaction was immediate. "What?" he said sharply. "Why would you do that?" "I need time," I answered calmly. He stood up from the chair. "Time for what? We are married. This is your responsibility." Responsibility. Not love. Not partnership. Responsibility. "I want to be sure everything is honest," I continued. His face changed. The gentle tone disappeared. "You're overthinking," he said angrily. "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me?" Everything he had done for me? I almost laughed. He walked closer, lowering his voice. "If you stop this process, you will destroy my future." I looked at him carefully. Not our future. His future. In that moment, the mask was gone. No softness, no romance, no promises, just pressure. And I finally saw the man I had married. Not a husband, but a plan. The next morning, I called the lawyer again. "I want to stop the sponsorship," I said clearly. She explained the process carefully. I listened without fear this time. When Daniel came home that evening, I was already packed. He looked confused. "What is this?" he asked. "I've stopped the application," I said calmly. His face changed immediately. "You can't do that," he said angrily. "Do you know what this means for me?" "Yes," I replied. "It means you will have to build your future honestly." He stared at me, shocked. "I thought you loved me," he said. "I did," I answered quietly. "But love is not paperwork, and marriage is not a shortcut." For the first time, I did not feel sad. I felt strong. I walked out of the apartment with my suitcase, not as someone abandoned, but as someone who refused to be used. Looking back, I understand something clearly. Love should never have hidden motives. If someone truly loves you, they will not need to use you. Trust actions, not just words. Promises can sound beautiful, but real love shows itself in honesty, respect, and intention. I lost a husband, but I saved myself, and sometimes that is the real victory. If you enjoyed this emotional English story, please like, comment, and share. Subscribe to AcademiaBees for more Level 3 English stories to improve your listening and vocabulary. See you in the next story.